Next time you grab that bag of shredded cheese, check the label. Because what you're sprinkling on your food might not be just dairy. Many brands sneak in an ingredient derived from wood pulp to cut costs, prevent clumping, and boost profits. And it's hiding in plain sight. Cheese is one of the most beloved ingredients in American kitchens. We melt it, sprinkle it, stretch it, and smother our meals with it. Whether it's pizza night, Taco Tuesday, or just mac and cheese for lunch, that convenient bag of shredded cheddar or mozzarella feels like a fridge staple. But what if we told you it's not just cheese in that bag? For years, food manufacturers have quietly added cellulose, a fiber made from wood pulp, into shredded cheese to prevent it from clumping. It sounds harmless until you realize how little consumers know about it, how poorly regulated it is, and how much of it might be in your food. Here's the truth. You're eating wood and paying full price for it. Let's break it all down. What exactly is cellulose? Cellulose is a plant-based fiber that comes from the cell walls of plants, but in processed food, it often comes from ground-up wood pulp. It's extracted from sources like cotton, trees, and other fibrous plants, and then processed into a fine, white powder. In small amounts, cellulose is used to improve texture, absorb moisture, and prevent clumping. That's why you'll find it in pre-shredded cheese, grated Parmesan, ice cream, salad dressings, and even baked goods. On paper, cellulose is technically safe. It's indigestible, meaning your body doesn't absorb it. It simply passes through. The FDA considers it a generally recognized as safe, GRAS additive. But that doesn't mean it belongs in your cheese, or that the food industry is being transparent about how much they're adding. Why do cheese companies use it? Simple: profit. Shredded cheese tends to clump together in the bag due to moisture and fat. To avoid this, manufacturers could use better packaging or freshly grated cheese. But cellulose is cheaper. It acts like an anti-caking agent, keeping the cheese pieces from sticking to each other during transport and shelf storage. But here's the shady part. The more cellulose they add, the less real cheese they need to fill the bag. That means every pinch of cheese you use might contain 5 to 10% or more filler. Wood pulp, not dairy. You're paying cheese prices for something that's not cheese. How much wood is in your cheese? In 2016, Bloomberg News conducted a lab test on packaged grated Parmesan products. The results were shocking. Walmart's Great Value Parmesan tested at 7.8% cellulose. Kraft had 3.8%. Essential Everyday, Jewel Osco brand, had 8.8%. Some store brands tested with over 10% cellulose. The FDA doesn't set a specific limit on cellulose in cheese. It only requires that the product be properly labeled and not misleading. But what counts as misleading? A label that says 100% Parmesan cheese, but contains wood fiber, certainly feels dishonest. Even worse, some brands were caught selling products with no actual Parmesan at all, just cellulose and cheap imitation fillers. The label loophole. You might think you can avoid this by reading the label, but food manufacturers know how to hide things in plain sight. Look for terms like cellulose powder, powdered cellulose, anti-caking agent, added to prevent caking. Even worse are labels that say 100% real cheese on the front, while listing non-cheese ingredients on the back. In the US, the FDA allows these labels as long as the cheese itself started out as real cheese, even if it's since been cut with filler. In many cases, the packaging itself is more honest than the ingredient list. Why you should care? Some might argue, who cares? It's just fiber. But here's why this matters. 1. You're getting less for your money. That bag of shredded cheese isn't 100% cheese. It could be 5 to 10% wood pulp. That means you're being overcharged and underfed. 2. It dilutes the taste and texture. Ever wonder why shredded cheese doesn't melt as smoothly as fresh? That's because cellulose interferes with heat distribution, resulting in clumpier, grainier, or rubbery cheese. Real cheese melts. Fake fiber doesn't. 3. No transparency. Many brands don't disclose how much cellulose they're using. If you're lactose intolerant, allergic, or just trying to eat clean, You deserve to know what's really in your food. Fourth, it normalizes cheap food tricks. Once you accept wood pulp and cheese, where does it stop? Many companies use fillers, bulking agents, and artificial enhancers to mimic quality. Cellulose is part of a larger industry pattern of profit over purity. What the experts say. Nutritionists warn that while cellulose isn't toxic, its overuse is a symptom of a broken food system. Consumers think they're buying cheese, but in reality, they're buying a processed product engineered to behave like cheese, says food scientist Dr. Charles Feldman. That's a very different thing. Consumer watchdog groups argue that this practice undermines trust in food labeling and makes it harder for people to make informed choices. And while the FDA hasn't banned cellulose, other countries take a stricter approach. In France, Italy, and Switzerland, food regulations require much stricter purity standards for cheese, meaning European cheese buyers are often getting a better product than Americans. Brands to be wary of. Some of the worst cellulose offenders in past independent lab tests include Great Value, Walmart, Essential Everyday, Super Value, Jewel Osco, Kroger store brand, Always Save/Best Choice, any Parmesan sold unrefrigerated in the dry pasta aisle. Even Kraft, which is considered a mainstream brand, uses cellulose in many of its shredded and grated cheese products. The cheaper the product, the more likely it's loaded with filler. What you should buy instead. If you want real cheese without wood pulp, here are your best bets. First, block cheese. Buy blocks of cheese and shred it yourself. No anti-caking agents, no cellulose, just cheese. Second, fresh Parmigiano Reggiano. Real Parmesan, labeled as Parmigiano Reggiano, imported from Italy, is protected by law. It can't contain fillers. Yes, it's more expensive, but it's 100% real cheese. Third, natural cheeses from deli counters. Deli cheese or specialty brands often avoid cellulose. Look for products with short ingredient lists, ideally just milk, enzymes, and salt. 4. Organic or artisanal brands. Many organic or small batch brands avoid cellulose entirely. Some even advertise no anti-caking agents directly on the packaging. How to spot real cheese. If you're in doubt, here's how to test the quality of your cheese at home. The melt test. Real cheese melts smoothly when heated. Cellulose-laden cheese will clump, separate, or stay grainy. The ingredient scan. Look for just milk, cultures, enzymes, salt, no cellulose, starch, or powdered additives. The smell and taste. Real cheese has aroma and flavor. If it's odorless, bland, or rubbery, it's likely been messed with. Final word. You wouldn't eat sawdust on purpose, but if you're buying pre-shredded cheese without checking the label, you probably already are. Food companies cut corners because it saves them money. And as long as most consumers don't ask questions, they'll keep sneaking wood into your cheese, sugar into your bread, and chemicals into your meat, all while charging you more than ever. You deserve real food, you deserve honesty, and you definitely deserve cheese that's actually cheese.